Lethbridge Bullhorn is all things regarding the Lethbridge Bulls of the Western Canadian Baseball League. The Bullhorn has the latest news regarding the Bulls with interviews with current and past players, signings, game recaps, and updates on all the events happening at Spitz Stadium. The Bullhorn is your place for all things regarding baseball in Lethbridge. Get your horns up with the Bullhorn, the Lethbridge Bulls Baseball Report.
Welcome to the Bullhorn, the Lethbridge Bulls Baseball Report on Rogers TV and on the Bulls YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe today so you don't miss out on any of the happenings going on for the 2026 season as we roll into the new year halfway through already. Things are happening fast and furious here at Spitz to get prepared for the most unbelievable season we've had here for the Bulls in recent memory. Player signings are still happening throughout the offseason as we lead into the spring and the summer. None shorter, none smaller than signing up a couple of more local products. Carson and Caleb Haney joining the Lethbridge Bulls for 2026 season. Of course, Caleb has been around the Bulls for a number of years, took last summer off to spend some time just by himself as coaching the Vauxhall Spurs American Legion baseball team, helping out there. But he decided to make his swan song playing baseball with his brother Carson. So they stopped in here at Spitz Stadium during the holiday break before they took off to North Dakota for their the back half of their college season. So it was really nice to catch up with Caleb and Carson, who have not played together at all. So it's been really a fun season for those two boys as we go into the 2026 season. Joining us in the sponsorship spotlight, Nico Saylor from The Bridge. The Bridge Fitness is a big sponsor of Lethbridge Bulls. They take care of all of the aches and pains of the guys through, not just with the Bulls, but also with Prairie Baseball Academy. Nico stopped in and we had a very long conversation. It was a great conversation about the science behind everything. And we were joined by pitching coach of the Bulls. Bulls pitching coach Josh Bergman stopped in the Bullhorn one more time. And of course, to wrap things up, we'll have Kevin Kavami, the president and general manager of the Bulls, to stop in and say a few words about the upcoming schools out game, next gen game, all the stuff's happening fast and furious, bus sponsors and people and schools and stuff. So it should be a lot of fun to get Kevin's take on the schools out game and some other stuff that's happening in and around Lethbridge leading into the 2026 Lethbridge Bowl season. So without any further ado, here is our conversation with the newest signed Lethbridge Bulls, Carson and Caleb Haney. Welcome back to the Bullhorn Lethbridge Bulls Baseball Report up on Rogers TV and the Bulls YouTube channel and the Maple Leaf Baseball Network. We are joined by newly signed Lethbridge natives, Caleb and Carson Haney. How you doing today, boys?
Good. We're good. Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
Happy New Year to you. Thank you for joining us on New Year's Day. Caleb, we'll start with you. You took last summer off the 2025 season just to recoup and just do whatever you had to do and be a kid for a summer, I guess.
Yeah.
What made you decide to come back for the 2026 season?
Just kind of the atmosphere of the program, of the ball club, the being back, playing in front of my hometown fans, being part of a team that I watched growing up and being an influence for the kids that are in around the ballpark, signing autographs for them. It's kind of just that experience. You're a big leaguer to them, and it's kind of it's a really cool experience, and I'm really excited to get back to it.
No, looking forward to having you back. Carson, when you got told you were going to be joining your brother on the field this summer, probably the first time in a long time this has happened, what was your thoughts when you first got the call to say you're going to be playing for Lethbridge Bulls?
I mean, I was super excited. Me and Caleb have never played with each other in any sport. So obviously I was super pumped for that. And I've always wanted to play for the Bulls. I grew up here, obviously, always coming to games, always getting autographs. So it's going to be pretty cool doing the same thing.
It is kind of neat, especially you watch the kids in the sidelines. Because like you said, Caleb, the kids think you guys are big leaguers. Because some of these kids, this will be some of the best baseball they'll ever see. So they come to Spitz Stadium and they think you guys are head and shoulders above everybody else. Is that one of the things you really look forward to, Carson, is kind of giving back to kids a little bit, like remember when you were a kid?
Yeah, 100% for sure. When I was a kid, I always was the one going up for autographs, always going up to sign like the balls and stuff. So I'm pretty excited to do the same thing.
Caleb, when you decided to come back, and did you have a chat with the parents a little bit to say, okay, because they're probably urging you to maybe move on a little bit with your life? I'm not saying pushing, I'm just saying gradually. What were their thoughts? And you said, well, maybe we can get Carson playing too. What were their thoughts with the family that they once you decided you want to do this again?
Yeah, no, they were very supportive. It's a really cool opportunity for not only just me and Cars, but also my entire family. I have both set of grandparents live here, so it's kind of they're going to get to watch us for last summer my last summer at least. Cars has a couple more summers, but it'll be really cool to play in front of them, but then also just the hometown community.
Like when you guys are both away at school right now, but when you get together, is it baseball talk nonstop at home, or like once you're home, the gloves and the cleats, everything just kind of goes away and you talk about everything but baseball, Carson?
I mean, kind of everything goes away. I always feel like we don't talk about baseball too much when we're home together, but obviously like some conversations do come up, but it's mainly just staying away from baseball, just trying to focus on the family and being at home with everyone.
That's probably the right answer. I know there's some families that's all they talk about is baseball, and I know with my wife, I talk about baseball time she wants to divorce me, but sometimes you just got to shut it off and get away from it. Caleb?
Yeah, no, for sure you do. It's an everyday grind. It really is playing collegiate baseball, but it's kind of like once you're kind of home, you can kind of take a couple days away, think about something else, think about family, think about whatever it may be. But it's kind of that switch has to go back on to like, hey, it's baseball mode and it's time to get ready for now, getting ready for our spring seasons, but then also getting ready for the summer season as well.
Talk about families, and all of a sudden the Lethbridge Bulls have a whole bunch of brother combinations with the Matsuzakis. This is breaking news. There's going to be another Matsuzaki. He's not signed yet, but he signed. So the Matsuzakis, the Wheatleys, the Haneys, the McTavishes, and then, well, the Dick brothers, one's a coach, one's a player. How's that going to work with brother rivalries? I have a little brother myself, and we get along just fine now that we're older, but there'll be some sibling rivalries around the locker room. How's that all going to work out?
For sure. It's going to be, it's definitely going to be cool. It's going to be something that is not every team, no team I've ever played on has had more than 2 sets of brothers. And now there's 4 or 5. So it's going to be a really cool thing. It's going to kind of be like almost a competition. Sure. The Haneys versus McTavishes or Haneys versus the Dicks. It's kind of something that's cool. And I'm really excited for being around that atmosphere in the clubhouse and on the field.
You, Carson, when you're going to be new to this whole thing this summer, is there something that Caitlin's told you a little bit and just stuff that you've noticed with guys that you know, because you played in Vauxhall, so you know a bunch of the guys have been through this. What's something you're looking forward to? First, what are you looking forward to on the baseball side of things? But what's something you kind of like, oh, what am I getting myself into a little bit?
I would say I'm most looking forward to just playing in front of the crowd, because I haven't really played in front of like a full crowd before, and kind of just hanging out in the locker room with all the guys. I'm sure it'll be super fun. Kilm's told me all about it and like how fun it is. So yeah, no, I'm super excited.
That what is one thing. You guys are like in your college careers, and we played in like a Legion baseball and everything else. You played in front of girlfriends and parents and the odd grandparent. That's about it.
Yeah.
And you start playing in front of big crowds, and then you play in the All-Star game in Okotoks a couple of years ago. MVP of the All-Star game, back in big home run.
Yeah.
No wind though, right?
No,
not at all.
Oh no, we did win. Yes, we did win.
No wind. It wasn't wind.
No.
Strict,
No wind.
Strict hammer.
Yeah. Maybe it was into the wind.
Yeah, that's how that works. I watched you play before. No, I'm kidding around. The fun part of it, it's a lot of fun, and the competing of it's a lot of fun. And then we can, like, if something's going a little bit sideways, you guys will have each other to lean on a little bit to talk to. Is that important?
Yeah, no, for sure it is. Like it's always nice to have someone that you can lean on, and especially when it's going to be my brother this summer, right? It's something that's kind of I've never been able to do is talk to my brother about playing in the same game, and that's going to be something that's going to be really cool to do. And those conversations that happen in the locker room with the buddies and the boys, then also the conversation that me and Cars can have at home talking about the game also.
It's probably going to be good for your parents not have to be in 2 different places or the same place at once, and just go to one ballpark and watch and just be there just for the one, not have to split time going here and there, whereas parents have to do. What kind of, because we talked about all these brother combinations that we're going to have with the Bulls this year. What kind of sacrifices do your parents have to make? Because it's got to be crazy, the stuff that you guys went through playing all over everywhere, and then into Vauxhall, into Legion baseball, and then into collegiate baseball. Like your parents must be just when's it's going to be over?
Yeah. I mean, they've been traveling all over for us throughout our whole lives, and even like right now in college, they're planning on just switching cities every time we play, just like switching between me and Calum. So they're gonna be pretty pumped to be able to go and watch both of us at the same time.
Just one at a time. Let's get to some fun stuff here. Out of the two of you, who's more likely to be late for the bus?
I would say.
See, I always like to be super early.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Calum.
Probably me. If there's someone, it'd probably be me.
I think I know this answer. I don't know your cleanliness level, but who's likely to have the messier locker?
Oh, me.
Yeah, I would be close though. I would definitely be.
That's hard to do.
Yeah, I would be close. It's this cornerback here. It gets pretty out of hand sometimes.
Do you have your spot picked already?
Oh yeah, yes, of course. Yeah,
Because it's your 5th year.
yeah. Fourth. This will be my 4th year. Yeah.
You played the COVID year, 21,
COVID.
22, 23, 24, 25th. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're
4.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You got your, so where's his spot going to be? Way down the other end.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
As far away as possible. Let's finish this up, guys. This has been good. Thanks for coming in on New Year's Day, on your time off. Finish off this sentence. We'll start with you, Carson. Playing together with the Lethbridge Bulls is what?
Exciting.
Elaborate.
It's very exciting because I get to play with Calum. I've never played with Calum before, and I get to play with a bunch of buddies that I played with at Vauxhall that I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited.
Calum?
To me, it means everything. Like, it's something that's giving back to the community, right? Giving back to the baseball community, especially. They've been grateful enough to have so many great coaches in Lethbridge and around Lethbridge and Vauxhall and Legion, and growing up in just minor baseball. And then now kind of just being able to give it to the kids, because the kids really do look up to us, and that's really something that we have to cherish and take advantage of, because once you do take the cleats off, you won't be remembered for this, but you have to take advantage of the kind of the moments you have in this organization and in that sense.
I was gonna end it there, but it's kind of funny you talk about it, because last year we were doing this around this time with a couple of friends of yours, Carlin Dick and Josh Cabiyama, and when it's over, it's over. Like you said, like eventually you just run out of games.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. And if you can give back to the community a little bit and just go out and have fun and try to win something in your last year, kind of must mean a little bit.
Yes, no, of course.
And then for the younger guys on the Bulls to say, okay, this is what we're trying to do here. So it's it's really cool. You're going to come back and help the team out this 2026 season. Boys, that's it. Thank you very much for joining us in the Bullhorn Lethbridge Bulls baseball report. And we'll see you all in the spring, and hopefully we can pull a championship back into Lethbridge.
Of course. Thank you
very
so
much,
Brent. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
This summer, there's only one place to be, and that's Spit Stadium.
You can sit here. Or here. You can sit here. Or here.
Or even here. But not here. Get your tickets now at bullsbaseball.com and come experience Bulls baseball all summer long. It's going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, go ahead.
Welcome back to Bullhorn Lethbridge Bulls baseball report up on Rogers TV and the Lethbridge Bulls YouTube channel. We are joined by Nico Saylor from Bridge Sport Therapy and Training, and assistant coach for Lethbridge Bulls, Josh Bergman. Nico, Josh, how you guys doing today?
Pretty good. End of the day, so I'm happy.
It is very good to be end of the day. Nico, you come from the Bridge Sports Therapy and Training, and Josh approached you last year to get hooked up with PBA. Baseball's not a forefront thing in the sports world here compared to hockey. I know you're with the Hurricanes. What did you have to maybe dig up for your own thought process when it came to training baseball and therapy for baseball players compared to hockey players?
Yeah, I think for us, I think in Lethbridge, we're pretty lucky here because we deal pretty much now with working with you guys, as long with the Hurricanes and with Lethbridge Volleyball Club, Lethbridge Football Club, the Soccer Association here as well. Various sporting groups. It's fun for us because we work with a lot of high-end athletes. So we got professional athletes coming through the clinic as well. So really, I think for us at the end of the day, from like a modern and kind of evidence-based perspective, we're really just trying to treat all of our athletes at the highest level that we can. And also, like with the facility that we have, we're lucky because our facility kind of allows for that. A lot of physiotherapy and strength and conditioning, especially in Lethbridge, it's Lethbridge, right? We're a small town, kind of small community, so we don't have, especially in a lot of places, technology that maybe guys are using at the highest level of sport. We don't have massive strength and conditioning facilities that are housing, athletes on athletes on athletes. So for us and kind of our role, I think we're pretty unique with what we're able to kind of bring to the table in terms of our facility, in terms of the equipment and, the load and the things that we're able to kind of use with athletes. But I think the biggest piece that I think we're the most excited about is the ability to test some of these boys, give them some information about their shoulder, how strong they are, where they should be strong, maybe where they're not as strong, and kind of using that information to really help kind of dictate what the training program looks like, and also just some kind of tweaks and adjustments and things that maybe we want to start to try and kind of bring to the table just to help kind of optimize their performance. But also, especially like in the last couple of years, we noticed with baseball, lots of injuries. So we're dealing with a lot of injuries that are keeping guys out for weeks on end. And also in a kind of a max intense sport like baseball, sometimes the hard part is, you got to go full or you don't go at all. And in these boys, sometimes there's not a lot of time to get them tuned back up. So if we run into an injury mid-season, we got troubles. So I think trying to be proactive, be preventative, but also bring some of the stuff that we've got in our facilities, to the table, and some of the pieces of technology that they're using in professional sports, I think is kind of what helps makes the biggest difference for us. Yeah. And athlete to athlete, it's kind of just knowing what the demand of the sport is. But at the end of the day, it's also just being able to give them information that they can use aside from, a professional just looking at them saying, I think you're good. But in this day and age, that's probably not good enough.
Josh, you're closer moved to being a high-end athlete yourself. What drew you to not that you aren't in the front,
he is
the specimen as it is now. I'm not saying that at all.
Specimen.
But specimen is.
Have you seen him hit a golf ball?
Yeah. But what drew you originally when you first got involved with the PBA, and then with the Bulls, obviously, to get the Bridge involved with baseball here, the high-end baseball we got in Lethbridge?
Yeah, I think what the Bridge does is they're at the forefront of everything in terms of the sports medicine side of things, and from the physiotherapy side of things, and then obviously the strength conditioning piece as well. They're very modern, they're very up to the time, and I think for us, at PBA, and even with the Longhorns program, it was something that we wanted to jump on right away. With their track record and my track record with Vauxhall, the baseball academy with Les McTavish, they jumped on board with the Bridge a couple of years earlier than we did, and just what they were able to accomplish with them. And I think the biggest thing for us is, obviously we want to make these kids bigger, stronger, faster, and allow them their physicality, physical development to happen naturally. And I think, with what we have to, what the Bridge has to offer us and our players, I think is something that we're very grateful for. But the biggest thing that, and Nico mentioned it too, about kind of the injury side of things, and in talking with Les and when they went through their process with the Bridges, what really pushed me towards them is the injuries and that side of things, where they went a full year or full 2 years prior to us started working on them, where they, had no injuries. And I think that's a big thing for us is we want to make sure our kids are available and able to play and able to develop, because if they're not, then they're not going to get better and they're not going to develop. And I think that was a big reason we went in that direction. And we're very, very fortunate and very grateful, like I said, to have them on board and be part of what we're trying to accomplish here, and excited about what we're doing now. But I think we're also really excited about what the future holds, and what we could do possibly in the future, and where that can go as well.
Things sure have changed. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s where there was some nefarious stuff going on. You talk about there's a lot of PEDs. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Everybody kind of knows what was going on back then. Obviously, I didn't partake in that kind of shenanigans. So look at me, I got to run around the shower to get wet. But like, you had the PED thing, and it's like, let's not say that there's not out there anymore, but it was always just bigger. And everybody had to be muscles, and on and on. It wasn't so much about speed when it came to not just baseball, but hockey and everything else. How has that changed a lot in the last 10 years, how everything has changed a lot more when it comes to physical training and sports therapy and everything else?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that we've kind of noticed, I think in baseball, talking to Josh, talking to a guy like Les McTavish, is, there is, right, in any sport, there's kind of a culture of like, what do you do, or what was kind of typically done for a really long time. And, in baseball, a large part of it was like, hey, yeah, we do our throwers 10 program, or we do our banded program, and we do these banded exercises, and yep, I do enough of them, and, my shoulder burns and it's tired and things like that. But then I go out and throw 90 miles an hour, and I have to do that all the time, and I have to do that through a long season. I have to, there's a huge demand being built up on these players. So, I think what's been pretty cool with a group like Vald, who, they test basically now, their track record's pretty incredible, but they test through basically every major sports team. Look at these dub kids who are going to play in the NHL. If they've been to combines, they're testing on the same equipment that we have. We're seeing a lot of it in the MLB. They're monitoring the health of their shoulders when they're playing, on testing these guys every single week and looking at their trends and how are they doing? How's their volume? Are you pitching too much? Are you throwing too much? How's our off-season program been? Are you coming in healthy? Are you coming in with things that are already kind of giving us flags? So it's really like using that information that we can get from these kind of things to help make decisions on the fly and make tweaks and changes to programs. We've seen guys coming from, say, like the baseball side of things, particularly in the last couple of years, but like, can come in and bench press heavy. They can come in and shoulder press heavy, and they can squat heavy, and they've been doing those things. And those are great things. And we want those things. But then it's also like, okay, if you can do all those things, and then we test your shoulder strength, and we see how strong your external rotators are, and relative to you as an athlete and to a kind of a cohort of your athletes, you're testing in the 10th and 15th percentile, but you can bench press pretty heavy. there's some pieces here that we're maybe missing. And so those are the pieces that we're trying to kind of fill in those gaps. But also to know what those gaps are, you need to be able to test for them and also show these guys. And I think what's been good from an athlete standpoint, because at the end of the day, any athlete wants to know, like, how do I get better? And if you can take those numbers and go, okay, here's your shoulder, here's your good shoulder, here's your throwing shoulder, this is your dominant shoulder, and look at your numbers. Your other shoulder is actually looking better right now. Like, your external rotators on your other shoulder are actually stronger than your throwing shoulder. Do you think that should be the case? And, they look at it and go like, no, I don't think that's a good thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I can say, hey, you know what, here's your numbers. And relative to, college baseball players down in the States, if that's kind of like what your goals are and that's where you're trying to go play, and your shoulder right now is in the 20th percentile of throwers, not maybe the best thing. Maybe this is something we should look at. So like that piece, just even motivationally for them to take a look at and go, okay, I think I should maybe like adjust my programming, or I should talk to my coach, or I should, maybe look at what I'm doing from a strength and conditioning standpoint, because maybe I think I'm hitting those targets, but when it comes to testing and having things that I can actually show, I'm actually not. You know what I mean? So I think strength and speed and power and putting on bulk, especially for some of these young kids, is super important, like Bergie said. And I think the nice thing about, for us, it's about taking those kind of core pieces that we need, and also just like maybe filling in the gaps of some of the things that maybe they're missing, or maybe that they're, not as used to as a part of like their culture in baseball to this point, but they're also coming to these programs to try and push to the next level.
The thing about the world of baseball, it doesn't matter what level it is, if it's professional or into college or even into American Legion, where you might have it. It's especially with pitchers, it's not a matter of if Tommy John's coming, it's when. It's and that's just the fact of it.
Yeah,
Josh, you kind of had your situation with that you had, and I'm not going to bring up any bad memories, obviously, but I just like it. It's just a matter of when, and you get a lot of college kids who come up here for the summer for the Bulls, and you have to reassure their coaching staffs that they're coming up not to be used as mules and pitching 200 innings over the summer, to make sure they stay away from that. How's something like the bridge beneficial to that? If a kid starts to feel something that they can, because you could say, yeah, it sounds like something, but to get a professional opinion is probably a whole other thing that might give those college coaches the warm and fuzzies, I guess.
Yeah, it's hugely beneficial for those guys down south that know that we have something in place here. That's, if something does happen, that they're going to get taken care of. It brings a little bit of comfort to them. I know for myself as a coach at PBA, when we have kids here with the Bulls, it makes me comfortable knowing that we can go to somebody. Obviously we have, Gord on staff as our athletic trainer, and, he's fantastic. And then we, work in partnership with the bridge as well, along with Gord's opinion too. So we're very fortunate that way. But yeah, I think for college coaches down south in the US, I think it brings them a lot of comfort and ease a little bit. If there is an issue that, okay, maybe we don't have to send him home right away. We can get him looked at. We can get him, maybe it's, hey, we need to sit down and be sidelined for a couple of weeks, and then we kind of build ourselves back, especially early in the summer. Then we can do that. And we have the ability to, use our injury reserve with the Bulls in the summertime. And we're more than willing to be able to do that. And we don't want to just give up on a player because maybe they're going through a little bit of a tweak or a little bit of an injury. And then we can consult with Nico and their group and make sure everything's kind of on the right track. And then obviously consult with their coaches and tell them this is what we're seeing, and this is how long we think it is. And with our guys that we have, at the bridge, and then we come up with a game plan from there. And that's what's very unique and very awesome about our relationship with them is, it's personal, right? Me and Nico have had a great relationship, and I've started to, create really good relationships with Matt over there and with Andre, one of the strength and conditioning coaches there, that, if we need something, it's a quick text or a phone call away, which for me, I think that the value of that is what I think it brings a ton of value to us. So, so having that and being able to have that relationship is huge for us, not only, like I said, with PBA, with the Longhorns, with all of our programs, but especially with the Bulls too. I think it's also important.
Nico, you spoke earlier on about when a guy's shoulder isn't right and you try to get between their ears, and athletes and coaches alike, and more coaches and athletes now than compared to what it used to be. They would play through stuff, and because they think they're going to run out of games, they're not going to get seen and go to the next level. How do you get between their ears, first off with the players, to realize that, hey, if you take 2 weeks off or a week off, you're going to be better off, and your long term's going to be a lot better? And how do you maybe go to the coaching staff who might want this kid to pitch to
tomorrow
Yep.
and say, hey, this probably isn't the best idea.
Yeah.
Because that's the big thing. Like back in the, like I said, back in the 90s, you just played until you couldn't play no more.
Tape her up and go.
And tape her up, put some ice on it, rub some
Absolutely.
dirt onto the proverbial dirt, that magical dirt, no one knows where it is. How do you convince these kids? And then actually, and I don't like, I'll say it, like, and parents as well, that want to push their kids because they also think they're going to run their kids out of games. And there's a lot of pressure coming from all sides when it comes to youth and amateur athletics.
I always, whenever I have an athlete that comes in, like I always say athlete to athlete, because, you know, with my history as a professional soccer player, like I understand what it's like. I know you want to be on the field. I know you want to play, you know? And I think as an athlete to an athlete, like I said, there are some injuries where it's like, hey, you know what? We'll talk to Bergie, we'll talk to Hub, we'll talk to the guys around you. Let's talk about a game plan. We're not shutting you down. We might just talk about maybe a little bit of volume. And at the end of the day, when it comes to baseball and the specifics of baseball, there's nobody better than these guys at managing the volume and the throwing and what kind and distance and intent and all these kind of things that are very specific to the sport. We've got the best baseball minds in the city right here. So I think having open communication between all of the groups is what really makes or breaks kind of a high level organization. We're talking to the guy who runs the Flames, like up in Edmonton, in Calgary there. He runs like their physio department, not Edmonton. Yeah, right. Getting killed for that. But he said like the biggest thing that the Flames do well through all kind of parts of their organization is everybody's communicating about where the player is, what the plan is. You know, we're making adjustments on the fly according to what the strength staff see, what the physio says, you know, what the team doc says. Like everyone is involved in the care of that athlete. And, you know, for guys who are going down south, for guys who are locally here in town, guys who are maybe here in town, but their families across the country, you know, having multiple people on the same page is the thing I think that gives them confidence that they're being taken care of versus they're getting like 4 different messages from 4 different people. They don't really know who to listen to. Right. So I think those kind of pieces and having like a really good care team where you're dealing with all sides of it, from physio, strength and conditioning, coaching staff, the player themselves, and everything. That's where you kind of get your buy-in, and that's where I think they start to understand like what's going on, what's important. Some injuries might not be able to go. Like you test them and you say, hey, you know what? This is your one shoulder. This is your other shoulder. We had a couple hamstrings. You know, guys coming into season, they had hamstring injuries, and it's like your one hamstring can do 400 newtons and your other one can do 100. And right now, anytime that you do anything more than 50% speed, it hurts. Like we're not really going to be able to go and to be full and for you to perform the way that you want to. So if you're willing to make this better, it's going to be a couple of weeks of hard work, but then we can get you out there and then you're going to be full go. But then also communicating that to the coaching staff so they know that, so they know kind of what the timeline is and what this athlete's looking at. Then we're all kind of building them up together. And then the athlete's getting back out there and seeing their success of being able to play and play full and not try and play through an injury. So I think that kind of thing, and like Josh said, you know, it's a text away. And for any of the boys, it's always a matter of, hey, this is what my thoughts are, but I'm going to run this to Bergie, and you know he's going to bring it to Hub and anybody else who has to make decisions on these guys, and then we kind of all make a decision together.
It's a lot. Things are once again not different. I'm going back and waxing poetic for some reason, but you have a lot more specialized athletes. And Josh, you're in the hockey world as well.
Yeah.
With the Dynamo Clippers and in the baseball world, obviously, with all the specialized athletes you have now, because kids aren't just they throw their equipment away in the when the spring comes, they grab a glove. Is that a good thing or a bad thing when it comes to and then playing 12 months a year now? Because that's what kids are doing. Mm-hmm. And you take some time off from your throwing program, but it's not like back in whatever day your equipment went away in May and then you picked up the baseball glove and then vice versa when the baseball season was over.
Yeah.
Is that something that's a bit tricky because you have kids doing so much so often nowadays compared to what it used to be?
Yeah, I would like, from my own personal experience, like I played multiple sports growing up, and honestly for me it kind of broke up the seasons nice, not even just from a physicality standpoint, honestly from the mental standpoint.
Yeah.
To be able to process, okay, September to April or March was hockey season, and then April to August was baseball season. And for me, from the mentally, from that side of things, it kind of gave me a refresh essentially throughout the year. So I think from that side of things for me, and when I, you know, with the position that I am and now with the company and kind of looking over all of our programs on the youth side of things, any parent that asks me or anybody that wants advice about it, I highly encourage the multiple sports side of things. Also from the physical development, especially at that young age, like getting into specialized sports, there is some benefits obviously to it because you get to hyper focus on one one thing, and obviously your skills are going to sharpen, and that's naturally going to happen if you're all in on one thing. But I believe as an overall athlete and what you're doing, I think to be able to play multiple and different sports, because they all bring different kind of skill sets essentially into your motor skills and how you're able to kind of round yourself out as an athlete. So I think from that perspective, I think I highly encourage the multiple sport and being able to play multiple sport instead of being hyper focused on one until you get to a certain age group, probably in that kind of probably 16, 17 age, that's probably when you could start to kind of go in one direction versus the other.
Nico, because you run a business, you're not probably telling parents that they maybe take their kid to have a rest and then not have the full-time membership all year long.
Yeah.
But what's your thoughts on that? Like, is it sometimes, because I see it, like sometimes is it just too young to be doing too much early, and not just between the years, but just physically? Like, is it just too much sometimes?
I think all the research that we kind of see coming out is still points to like the value of multi-sport athletes when they're young and getting a kind of really well-rounded base in terms of, just like Josh said, how they move, learning how to move their bodies safely, rounding out their skills in multiple things. I'm not sure if you guys saw the post that like Biz was on a podcast. So there's a podcast shout there, but he was talking about like the World Juniors, and then in the last couple of years, like, seems like a lot of the countries in the world are kind of catching the Canadians, and we're no longer like the massive kind of hockey powerhouse that once upon a time we were. And I was listening to his podcast the other day with Ryan Whitney, and they're talking about how like hockey has changed so much, where now it's like, how fast can I get my kid into an academy? How fast can I be playing hockey year round? And at the end of the day, you look at like other countries and countries that are being successful, like Sweden and Finland and those kind of things, and it's not that way. You know what I mean? So we're going in a certain direction, but the other parts of the world are not, right? And you see the research saying, you know what, it's still valuable to be a multi-sport athlete. There's so many professional athletes out there. Doesn't matter what sport you play, but they all say the same thing. Like, when I was a kid, I played hockey and baseball and soccer and this and that, and I did all these things. And then, at a certain point, I got to a certain age where now I maybe need to start specializing in kind of my craft and what I do. And I'm looking at going to the next level and finding more competitiveness. So I think from a research standpoint, that's still very well supported, that's a very important piece. But I think in this day and age with sport and, the demand and also like the goal of reaching the next level and all the above and having all these like early specialization options, it gets really tricky. And then from an injury management perspective, like we were dealing with a baseball kid this year, and he had a back injury. And so I saw him on his assessment day, and he was just doing some BP swinging, and he just felt something in his back. And he's like, man, I haven't had pain like this like in my whole career. And he's like, he just asked the question point blank, do you think it is because I played 167 games this year? And I was like,
yes.
Yeah. I was like, like we haven't even gone into it yet, but like, yes, you know what I mean? Like, when you're young, same thing, you play 167 games on that low back, like, how's your body tolerating that? You know what I mean? Versus if you're going to play a different sport, it's a different demand. There's you're exposing your body to different stresses and loads and forces, but it's also not just the same thing day in, day out. And then we deal with a lot of these athletes. So you have that back injury, played 167 games. So what's your timeline? Don't really have one, because I'm playing right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay, so then you're going to play right now. So then what does your spring look like? Playing spring ball. Okay, sounds good. So after that, what are you doing? Well, I'm going down south. Okay, so when are we going to get you better? You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about? So I think that's a really, really hard thing, and multiple sports kind of help break that up a little bit. It's still sport, it's still activity, but it's different. And I think there's a huge value in that on just a rehab perspective.
That's absolutely that's borderline insane.
It's like that's a lot of games.
That's actually insane.
Yeah.
It's New Year's resolution season, and like there's only X amount of athletes in the world or in Lethbridge that can use your services. If somebody, let's say that's about 51 years old and probably doesn't take care of their body the best, or at all, what's something you got? I'm not pointing fingers anywhere. But what's something that the bridge can offer a guy like me who hasn't been in a gym since 1994?
We got you, man. We start anywhere you like. Let's start anywhere. I mean, nice for us, because I think for our services, we got physiotherapists, and all of our physios are, very well-rounded. They're all very evidence-based and exercise-based. So, anybody who walks through our doors, and I think Berg, you can probably attest to that. Like, when you walk in our facility and the first thing you walk into, it looks like a giant gym and there's a whole bunch of squat racks. First thing you're going to look at is like, crap, I'm probably gonna have to start doing something here. But
that won't go through my mind.
Well, perfect, because we have other things. It's good. So we're smart that way. We got we're lucky, because like honestly on our team, like we've got 9 amazing physiotherapists. We've got a strength and conditioning staff that are working with basically every sport in the city. We've got 2 amazing chiropractors who are very evidence-based and modern-based. So at the end of the day, like sometimes that is the case, right? Somebody comes in like, you know what? I don't know if this is what I'm looking for, but I see you guys have Cairo. I'll check that out. It's like off perfect. Whatever you need, right? And we also have some massage therapists who are, I would say, the best in the city, which is awesome. So, really for us having all the disciplines in one building makes it a one-stop shop, which is nice for us.
So there is still hope.
There's still hope, man. It doesn't have
Mary
to.
Swanson has still got a chance.
Doesn't have to be in my schedule. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
You hear a lot, Josh. We'll get you guys out of here. Thanks for joining us here. But Josh, you hear a lot from players, and then I want you, Nico, you to follow up on it.
Yep.
But what's something you hear from players a lot that they come to you in confidence that is a complete myth that you're like, I've heard this one before. Like, what's the most common myth that you're told by a player?
The biggest myth that I've told by what do you
like when a guy says, I know my body, or I know this?
Oh, none of them know their body, especially at the age that we're dealing with. Like they're developing so much and they're changing so much in their body. They don't know what's going on. And I think with what we're able to get out of the bridge and the information that they're able to give us, like they might, like Nico mentioned, like their shoulder strength, their external rotation strength, they think they're strong, they look strong. Maybe like we have, some guys even in our programs that they physically, they look like they could be really strong, and kids that we've had in the past that look physically fit. But really when it comes to their specific sport, especially in the game of baseball as overhead throwers, that they think that they're going to be, they're good. They're strong, and I look strong and I'm great. But at the end of the day, they're not. Right. And I think that's, you hear that a lot about, I know my body, or I know I'm strong because I look strong. No, that's not the case.
Doritos into their head.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and then it's like giving them information. I think that's another piece that, we did with the bridge. We did a nutrition session with the people up in Edmonton as well. And she was fantastic. And, but yeah, no, I think it's also, that's definitely a big myth, thinking that they know where they're at, especially at 16, 17, 18 years old. Their bodies are changing almost feels like every single day. So yeah, I hear that a lot.
Yeah. I think it's exactly that he said. It's like, the classic was like back in my soccer days, it's like, oh, I'm a soccer player. My quads like definitely are strong, and then you do some like very like basic strength exercises, and then their quads are shaking, and it's like, well, maybe I'm actually not as strong as I thought I was. Right. And I think there's a big difference between like, okay, I can perform in my sport, and I can perform, on the diamond or on the soccer field or wherever it may be. And then there's also like, and can I perform in the gym? And do I have skills and a lifting age? And do I know how to do that too? And, in this day and age of sport, you could say that's probably just as important as the things that we're actually doing out on the field. So it's always fun when somebody comes in and they'll pick on the PBA boys, for example, but it's like, I've been lifting heavy this summer, and a lot of them coming to the program for the first time. Like they've never been here before. Yeah. They've never met these guys before. So it's new to PBA. Yeah, I've been lifting, and then you give them some like, 3-pound dumbbells and their shoulders on fire at like 7 reps. And it's like,
you have it.
Yeah, we can do a little bit better than that. And they look across the clinic, and there's somebody over there, like, who's been training for a bit, and they look across and they're like, oh my God, like what? So I think it's that. I think I'm strong, or I think I'm good. And then you can kind of show them, well, maybe this is some things that we should just add into the good things that you already do.
Yeah, the old, just because you've been doing something for a long time doesn't mean you're doing it right for a long time.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely
the biggest thing.
Exactly.
Nico, Josh, thank you very much for joining us here in the Bullhorn Baseball Report. Appreciate it. And thank you for your support of the Leopards Bulls 25-26 seasons and going forward. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, guys. You're watching the Leopards Bulls Baseball Report, the Bullhorn Leopards Bulls Base Report on Rogers TV and the Leopards Bulls YouTube channel. This summer, there's only one place to be, and that's Spitz Stadium.
You can sit here, or here. You can sit here, or here, or even here.
But not here. Get your tickets now at bullsbaseball.com and come experience Bulls baseball all summer long. It's going to be unbelievable. Welcome back to Bullhorn, the Leopards Bulls Baseball Report up on Rogers TV and the Bulls YouTube channel. It's time once again for Kevin's Corner. We're joined by Bulls GM and President Kevin Kavami. Kevin, the talk this week's been all about the next gen game on June the 22nd, 11 a.m. game. School's out, baseball's in against the Brooks Bombers, 11 o'clock start. Lots going to go into this one. What's your thoughts on this one?
Well, we kind of stole this idea from some other summer college teams that have done it around North America, including the Victoria Harbor Cats of the West Coast League. So, the idea is that we're going to get this place packed full of students on June 22nd and give them a really great baseball and fun experience at the stadium. And basically, hopefully they can play hooky at the ballpark that day, and teachers will come and as a field trip, and we're excited to have the place filled with energetic young future Bulls and baseball fans.
You know, we had Jesse Sawyer. He stopped in for some different business. Ex Bulls coach and Hall of Famer, Wall of Famer Jesse Sawyer came in, and he thought this was a great idea, and he was kind of jealous because he coaches or he teaches in high school. He can't get away because his kids are going to be taking provincial exams, but he thought it was a great idea to get kids involved, especially middle school and elementary schools, when teachers are looking for stuff to do at the end of the year, when the teaching part of it's all over. Now it's field trip time.
Oh, it gives the kids a different experience. You know, they do swimming trips, they do trips to the zoo, Callaway Park and stuff. This is going to be a very economical event for them to do. You know, with busing companies that'll be involved in supporting the venture, and some other sponsors that will be involved. You know, it's going to be a great event for the students, and it's going to be fun. You know, the players love playing in front of the kids too, and you know, there'll be chances for autographs, and kids play games on the, you know, are in between inning games, and there'll be other stuff going around the concourses to make it fun for them, and give them a really great afternoon of late morning, early afternoon of baseball.
Yeah, you mentioned the time of day. We kind of got a rude awakening in our early planning of this thing when we got a hold of a bus company. They said, you might want to start that one a little bit earlier because we got to get the kids back to school and back on bus to get home after school. So we're going a little bit to 11 o'clock. We talked to Jason Wandler, and he doesn't have much of a choice. We got to start this game at 11 o'clock or else there won't be anybody here. On that, from a planning standpoint, what goes into putting in a game like this? That there's a lot of moving parts on any game day, but something like this, there's a lot more things that need to happen.
Well, certainly there's it has to start early. You know, we like to talk about here that, you know, there's 28 special events that happen during the regular season of the Bulls season, each one with a target audience. This one is a unique target audience because it's going to, you have your regular fans that like to come to the evening games and participate in, you know, the different events, whether it's the Pink in the Park night or you know, country night or those type of events. But this one is specifically targeted, and it's going to be themed, you know, everything from the music to the video board to the games and the contests and the how we get kids in and out of the park, and the food. The food will be, you know, oriented for the kids. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, macaroni and cheese won't be on the menu for that afternoon at the park. So you have to get all those pieces in place, and you build the script out from there. You build the pregame show, the marketing of it. It has to go to all the schools, and you have to do it early enough so that the teachers can plan their event and say, hey, this is a great, you know, I'd like to go to the baseball game. You know, we're going to give then they're even going to give me a free ticket as a teacher if I take my students to the game. And so that sounds like a great way to teach the afternoon of June 22nd is to supervise the field trip down to Spitz Stadium. So it has to start in December when we did start it. And we want to build on this and make it an annual event that the kids and the schools and the sponsors and all that come together and put on a great event for hopefully 1,500, 2,000 kids.
That's the hopes, and I think that won't be unattainable. What kind of impact do you think this will have on kids who might not get to come to a Bulls game just because of different circumstances, or just what can it do not only for the schools, but more so for the kids and what they can get out of this when they come to a Bulls game that's completely geared towards them?
Oh, you know, it's city, you know, and their surrounding area. 250,000 people live within 60 miles of Lethbridge, and that sounds like a lot of people. And you know, if we're to fill up the stadium we need 1 out of every 10 of those to come to one game.
Yeah.
And we're basically full. A lot of these kids and families, probably with the noise of life in general, don't even know the Lethbridge Bulls exist or at Spit Stadium, what they can do at Spit Stadium and what all is all involved in a Bulls game. So this is an opportunity for the school to showcase a community establishment that's been around for 27 years. And the kids are going to have an experience that hopefully catches them on supporting, the teams in the city and coming back and having fun at the games, getting to know the players that are going to be wearing Bulls uniforms this year, and hopefully getting them to sign autographs and collect cards, and have a fun summer as well, because there's no better place, as you know, to be around in the summer than a ballpark.
Yeah, well, I remember coming to this old place back in the early 80s with my grandfather watching Dodger games. So that's kind of how I got my bug back in the day. And that's what you try to do. You try to get some kids involved in baseball, might not have been around it, and kids that, just like you said, might not have ever had a chance or whatever it might be. So this is a good opportunity for them to come. If a teacher or a parent or a student who might be watching the Bullhorn thinking about coming for the first time, what would you say to them to can't miss day at Spitz? And this is going to be something that they'll brag to the people who didn't come or who maybe declined, that's something that they might brag a little bit on later on.
Yeah, I think that they're going to find that there's going to be special recognition, and there's going to be, an atmosphere that is, like pep rally type of atmosphere at the ballpark that day, and just a joyous, fun afternoon to kick off summer. It's the first day of summer, and what better way to spend the day if you're not cooped up in a classroom than to be at a ballpark.
I tell you what, if my teacher didn't let me come to this, I probably would have played hooky and come down here anyways. One of those deals. But
we rode your bike from Fort McLeod,
right from Fort McLeod, yeah, a couple hours, but I'd have made her. Just had Carson and Caleb Haney on their return to the Bulls. It's no surprise now. Caleb was talking about when they were kids, and so was Carson actually, about getting autographs. And that was one thing that they were looking forward to this season. Caleb's going into his last year of eligibility with the Bulls, and Carson's going into his first. The signing autographs, and you alluded to it earlier, how the players really enjoy having the kids around, and high fives and autographs and the whole bit.
Well, first of all, we got to talk Caleb into following in Clearhout's footsteps and going for a second, college, and he's still got eligibility. He's still young enough.
Yeah, I don't know how Clearhout matters to do. I think he's about as old as I am. I've been in school for 14 years, but whatever. Yeah, it's different.
No, it was it's exciting to have Caleb back with the team, and exciting to have the brothers playing with the Bulls this summer. They're great community guys, and can't wait to see Caleb what he can do as a senior in the league, and can't wait to see what Carson's going to do as a rookie. So it was really exciting to have them sign with the team for the summer.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. We've got all these different brothers. I had the pleasure of talking to Carlin, and
it's absolutely unbelievable. Yeah. That story is gonna, I think the plan is that you're gonna have brothers on for the next 5 or 6 weeks on the Bullhorn.
I had
the brothers segment.
The next one that comes out the Bullhorn, I had Carlin, Dick, and it was something. It was a lot of fun talking about that. But in Cardell, we were making fun of Carlin more than anything else. But
I can't wait for you to have the McTavishes.
The McTavishes, and then the Matsuzakis, and the Wheatleys, and there's a whole bunch of them. As we head towards the season, and just talking about the brothers and the family atmosphere, and that's kind of something that I just kind of popped in my head. It's such a family atmosphere when you come to a Bulls game, and now we have all these families that are playing together. That could almost be an underlying theme that maybe we should try to capitalize on now. The marketing thing just came to our brains a little bit, but it shows that baseball is really a family game, and it's more than just balls and strikes. It's about family and community.
For sure. I mean, that is really what we preach, and we are putting an extra effort in this season to make the place have that atmosphere around all season long, and to have fun and excitement, and And I know the coaches are working hard to make sure the roster is solid and gives us the best opportunity to compete in a very competitive league now. And just the talent in this league has grown so much over the tenure of the Lethbridge Bulls here in the league, and it is a great level of baseball to watch. And even if you're out watching, Spit Stadium is a great place to be and have some fun with some friends and family.
Yeah, let's touch, like you talk about how the level of baseball's changed. And let's go back to, we probably should have done this a couple of years ago, started this thing up. But you go back the initial years, and not that they were bad baseball players, but there were businessmen who were playing in this league back, like the Harv Martinez of the world back in 1997, 98, 99, whatever it was. And then they were playing against guys like Miles Fletcher, who was a rookie in the league. Just how the league has changed so much from senior men's league basically to what it is now. It's a complete 180 for sure.
Yeah, and I think I've said it before, so I mean, if I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry, but the Bulls take a lot of pride in the growth of the league, and being the first Alberta team in the modern generation of the WMBL, which has become the WCBL. We were the instigators of the name change away from the SMBL, because we didn't identify in Lethbridge with Saskatchewan as being in a Saskatchewan league. And and that's not a knock on Saskatchewan, just like their teams would have trouble in an Alberta league. So we try to brand things that are inclusive. So that's the Western theme definitely was fitting, and eventually in 2019 the Canadian theme. So that is how that transpired. And then the impact of Medicine Hat losing the rookie league team to the US, the Blue Jays Farm Club, and Medicine Hat coming in the league, and then the behemoth north of us in Okotoks, really made the leagues better. Like it as the Calgary Dogs were okay, but then when they built the stadium in Okotoks, and that it became a focal point for many things in the league, and also their drive to have the league be better all time. Yeah. So that is an underlying current at all times, and we pick up on that here, that we need to be better if we're going to compete with Okotoks and Sylvan Lake and the other teams in the league that are our rivals, and the eastern teams that are our rivals, like Medicine Hat and Regina and the new Berries organization that's going into their third year. So the Bulls take a lot of pride in the growth of the league and the growth in the city of baseball, and we want the kids and the families to have a super time at the stadium this year.
You get back to that the schools out game, next gen game on the 22nd of June. I think it would like a success, obviously, if lots of people are there having a good time. But if some kid opens up his eyes and says, this baseball thing's pretty all right, that may not have played, some kid who's 6 or 7 years old, that's kind of what I see as would be even more of a bonus, that maybe some kid got introduced to baseball for maybe the first time and go, hey, I can do this. I can get a glove and a ball, and it might be a Caleb Haney, or it might be a Cardell Dick that might push them into that kind of direction. Because having more kids playing baseball is always a good thing.
For sure. And I think, the Bulls are the local entity. The Blue Jays certainly helped with their run in October. So we expect baseball numbers to grow again across Canada this year because of the Blue Jays' success. That's a good thing. And, our part here, the kids being out in the field after games, getting autographs signed, meeting our players who I've been so proud of, seeing them interact with the kids after the game, win or lose, and always be willing to sign an autograph or have a chat or high five a kid. Yeah. It really makes them feel part of baseball. And if that makes them want to come to a Bulls camp, and then out of the Bulls camp, they really like baseball, and how can we get involved? We're going to drive them to Little League and have them start their careers. And like you say, maybe they're the next Caleb Haney or Shea McTavish or Carlin Dick.
I was hoping you wouldn't have said that last one, but Carlin's actually a pretty upstanding citizen. I shouldn't be so hard on old Carlin, but
he's got a positive mentality about himself around the, and as far as a coach that always has a smile on his face and is willing to talk to the fans. I mean, we've had coaches over the years that get a little sour after losses and may not be quite as free-spirited as Carlin, but he is definitely an ambassador for the Bulls and for the Longhorns that he's involved in, and a pleasure around the stadium.
No, definitely a role model that some kids should definitely follow, because he's my wife calls him resting happy face, because he's always smiling all the time and nothing really bothers him. So we'll get you out of here in half a second. Busy, lots going on here. But Kevin, first-time fan were to come to Spitz Stadium this summer, whether it be a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, or a 50-year-old, what do you hope they'll walk away saying about Spitz Stadium Leopards Bulls?
I had a great time, and I can't wait to come back.
And I'm going to bring 2 more people with me.
That would be a great thing.
Be a great thing.
How about 4?
Bring 4. Why not? Bring 4. We got tickets. So, no, Kevin, thanks as always, taking time out of your busy day and everything we're doing for the Bulls this summer, and just hope to continue the success, and I hope this next gen game, as you can say, we knock it out of the park for the next gen schools out game.
Awesome. Thanks, Brent.
Thanks, Kevin.
Weeks.
You're watching the Bullhorn Leopards Bulls baseball report on Rogers TV and the Bulls YouTube channel.
This summer, there's only one place to be, and that's Spitz Stadium.
You can sit here. Or here. You can sit here. Or here. Or even here.
But not here. Get your tickets now at bullsbaseball.com and come experience Bulls baseball all summer long. It's going to be unbelievable.
That'll do it for another episode of the Bullhorn Leopards Bulls baseball report. Special thank you to Caleb and Carson Haney for jumping in here before they went off to North Dakota for their school seasons. Nico Saylor from the Bridge Fitness, great conversation there, and Josh Bergman obviously stopping in here to his busy PBA schedule to put his 2 cents in. And as always, Kevin's Corner, Kevin Kavami, the president and general manager of Leopards Bulls, to talk about the school's out game and a lot of other things, as you just heard. Make sure you subscribe to your podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and stay tuned to bullsbaseball.com to make sure you don't miss out on any, and all our social medias as well, so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming events happening in and around bowl seasons. Get yourself some tickets. Group tickets are now on sale, as well as flex packs are still a thing, and season tickets are on sale for another month and a half. I think it is. Don't quote me on that, but I should probably know that before I get on here on the Bullhorn. It's going to be an unbelievable season. Thank you for joining us. We will talk to you all again very soon.
For sponsorship opportunities with the Bulls, email partnerships@bullsbaseball.com. All Lethbridge Bulls home and away games can be seen live on Flow College. Are you a Bull lever? Want to be part of the Bulls in 2026? We're now recruiting volunteers for media, game day ops, and more. Join the herd today.